Hey, this is Shobit, and today we'll be talking about how ultra successful product managers think. Stay tuned for more. Before we go on, let me just tell you why I am uniquely qualified to tell you about this. Rather than the experience of one successful product leader, I bring not just my success as a product leader at Google, but the other thing is I've coached hundreds of product managers through Intentional Product Manager. And when I say coach, I mean having a outsized impact on their lives, their careers, everything is different for them. And so that's really how I got that front view, or like the ringside view of how ultra successful product managers think. So let's begin with number one. The first way they think of themselves and the world is through a high agency framework. Now, I gotta give credit where credit is due. The first time I heard about it is by this author named Shreyas Doshi. A lot of good stuff on Twitter and LinkedIn from him. And how he describes high agency product managers is they have this sense that they are able to change the world. They're able to change the world. What that means is two things. So number one, many often when I see product managers who are not doing very well, or even people struggling to go into product managers, they have a victim mindset. Victim mindset in the sense of everything's working against me, my boss is out to get me, no customers love my product, engineers only want to talk about engineering, sales team just want the latest features. Everything's working against me. My life is so difficult. Oh, what am I gonna do? Oh. And same circumstance. A high agency product manager says, all these things are wrong. Perfect. What is the biggest problem that I can affect right now? Let's start to go and change that. So they know that there's problems, but they also believe in their own ability to change things. Maybe not immediately, maybe everything is not perfect yet. And then they quickly start to figure out, okay, this is what I tackle first, keep going. This is what I tackle second, keep going. I've seen not only high agency PMs emerge, but what I've also seen is that this can also dramatically change in many people's lives. So just as an example, one of my clients who I was coaching, all confidential details held aside, this person came to me and they were like, look, I don't think my company is going anywhere. And literally as we were doing our coaching session, I asked him, okay, well, if you were to take extreme ownership, a very related concept, over this company, what would you recommend the CEO does? And he told me exactly the plan. I said, perfect. So what's stopping you from doing that right now? What's stopping you to go and influence the CEO? If you believe you have high agency, you're going to go influence the CEO. He's like, yeah, what is stopping me? Nothing except myself. So when he took the high agency mindset, he went and dramatically had a huge change made in the company's trajectory, in their roadmap, in what they were prioritizing. And because he was coming from a place of, yes, I believe I can change this, I have high agency. And look, I also want to say that this is something that can be learned. So this example was there, but from my own career, I was in a startup that I think will end up doing really well. And I still have their stock, so fingers crossed, hopefully it does well. But I realized that the way I approached the startup was with a fixation on all the things that were wrong with that startup and what was wrong with my role there. We were serving enterprise customers, so there was not a lot data driven. So I was like constantly worried about, am I going anywhere? Am I learning the right things? I wanted to build this amazing strategy, but was, not really focused on the immediate problems that the company had. So I just wasn't showing up with a high agency mindset. And so I did not do well there for the first year. And then I transformed my mindset. And the second year I got the highest rating. And when I left, the CEO literally, confessed to somebody else, an executive, that I don't know how we're going to replace Shobit. And not trying to boast, although it might seem like that, all I'm trying to say is that transformation can happen with the right coaches, right mentors. So that high agency mindset is the thing that is the first thing that I always put when I think of ultra successful product managers and what is it that they do. Ultra successful product managers are great problem solvers. I would argue that's what life, what business, what careers are. They are a series of problems that we basically have to come and solve. And that is why you make the big bucks. And the more problems you solve, the more money you make, the more impact you have. That's really what all careers are. Now, there's few things that distinguish these ultra successful product managers. So number one, no problem is beneath them. If there is no one available to properly test your product before it ships out, that's a problem they're willing to solve, either by jumping in themselves and figuring out a way to make testing easier, and then eventually hiring someone, they jump in. So no problem is beneath them. And look, I say that because I did it. We at a company I was at, we had to redo the product, and new products coming out and no one's testing it, and it could have been a crappy product. And there were other people in the product team, and what I said was, don't worry, I'll figure this out. So I not only did I help test it initially, I helped grow this QA team and make them an extreme powerhouse. And as a result of that, I got a lot of recognition. But really, initially, when you think of it, it's thankless work. But the thing is that great product managers, they're willing, no problem is beneath them, they're willing to take that. The second thing is that also great product managers have a way of thinking through problems in a very logical manner, such that other people are able to understand their thinking and follow along and contribute to it. Because you're never gonna solve all these problems by yourself. So bringing people along, being great at empathy, at communication, at bringing the best out of other people, that's really what great product management and great problem solving is all about. And then last but not least, when the problem is solved, when there's a decision being made, great product managers go and execute, and they never question the decision again until they get data that doesn't agree with it. In the sense that once decision is made, we're going to lead people through. Everyone's going to disagree and commit, even if they were not part of or they didn't agree with the decision initially. They're going to execute. We're going to keep an eye out for data that contradicts, that tells us our decision's wrong. But till then, we're going to execute like crazy. That's what great product managers do. They solve problems, make decisions, and get executing like crazy. So ultra successful product managers are always customer first. And it's 100% apparent when I see product managers do interview prep with me, where let's say we're preparing for a Google or a Facebook, and we're thinking of product sense or product design questions. And great product managers that I know that are thinking the right way, customer first. They start with the customer's current pain points. Who are the customers? What are they feeling? What's going on through their brain? Where are things broken? And how could a new solution fix those? Then they come to the solution. Other product managers, they're just like, oh, I have a wonderful idea. Why don't we launch X? So what does X do? There was no context, there was no understanding of the customer's pain points. And so that's where it's absolutely crucial that you have that sense of customer empathy. In fact, I recently did a poll on LinkedIn, and people said that the trait most important for product managers is customer empathy. Now, this does not mean that you become an order taker product manager, which means order taker product managers, they're like, hey, what do you want, customer? This is what I want. Perfect. I'll give it to you. No, you have to think beyond what the customer is saying and observe them and truly understand what their pain points are and what are the possibilities to solve them. I'll give you an example. Uber. When Uber came, taxis were a mess. But if you ask most people, they wouldn't say that taxis are a mess. They would just say that, oh, they are what they are. They had internalized the pain. They did not know any better. I remember the first time I really got a delighter moment with Uber was when I was in a suburb and I'd called a taxi and they said 10 minutes, it'll be there. Awesome. 20 minutes go by, I call back. Oh, they're on the way. Another 15 minutes. Like, okay. 15 minutes waited, not there. Okay. And and then I call back. Oh, so absolutely there. Another 10 minutes. And then I said, okay. I mean, I shouted a bit more than that, but you know where I'm going. And so I was like, okay, well, let me try this Uber thing. So I looked at Uber and it says 12 minutes. Here's the location of the taxi. It will be here at this time. This is what it will cost. I pressed OK. It started showing me that the taxi is coming. I called back this taxi guy and I said, hey, cancel it. I don't want it. And since then, I've hardly ever used taxis. Now, I didn't know things were so broken until somebody outside me reflected and thought of that. So great product managers, they're customer driven, but doesn't mean that they take orders from customers. They truly understand what customer needs are, and then based on that, design a solution that's unique. That's what makes ultra successful product managers. Ultra successful product managers think in terms of business goals. See, we love, as product managers, we love features, we love launches, we love figuring out how to improve the product. All these things are great. But real ultra successful product managers have a mindset of, look, my product, it serves a need for the company. It helps it meet its business goals. Now, those business goals might be making money. They might be driving adoption of a product so that some other product makes money. You know, ultimately it comes down to money. See, that is 100% true. But they figure out how does their product ultimately help the company that they work for make money. And they tie everything that they do towards that end goal. I'll give you another example. Interview conversation I was having with folks that are preparing for, let's say an interview at Apple. And we were talking about iPhone and different models and I got a lot of ideas from people which were like, hey, rather than doing this, why don't we do X? That way the customer can benefit in A, B, C, D manner. And I said, okay, awesome. What exactly changes for Apple? Because everything you told me, Apple is spending more money. It's definitely giving more value to customers. But can you tie it back to how does Apple succeed as a result of that? And they said, because, now we'll have that direct relationship with customers and we'll be directly tied in and all these things. And the feedback I had was, look, ultimately, you got to go build this case for Apple. It's not a non-profit. In fact, it's far from a non-profit. It's a highly profitable company. The point was, what is that connection between your customer getting value and ultimately your company making money? And I know I've also been saying customer first. And I still 100% agree with that approach. Customer first, but you got to have that line to how does the company succeed? And if you don't have that line, then it's another fancy project. And when you go, this is the context of interview. When you go interview, you'll be perceived as someone who's, who can think in terms of customers, but that product strategy, product inside, business goals angle is not there. So whether you're in a current role or you're looking for a new one, if you want to be an ultra successful product manager, you got to have that line all the way till the top, till your company's goals and financial metrics on how your product delivers values. And this is just as true for anyone, even platform product managers who often tell me that, Shobit, I can't tie my goals to business goals because we're a platform. We are helping other people within the company be more efficient, or we're making something happen. I said, no, the onus is on you to tie that. And by the way, you should have that tie-in because you should be making your decisions around prioritization, around how do you design your APIs, everything based on how it ties in with the end goals of the company, which is making money. And then, from that you can derive engagement for the product, from that you can derive, and you can keep backtracking. But you are the storyteller. You have to tell the story of how ultimately your product helps the company achieve its business goals. So average product managers, they say, well, it's a great product feature, it's useful for the customer, I'm good. Ultra successful product managers have a mindset that I am going to tie it back to ultimately how does the company win. That's absolutely crucial, and without that, you will never be a ultra successful product manager. Ultra successful product managers have a mindset that their career is like a product. So think of the product, right? Ultimately, it has business goals. It solves a problem for customers. In order to deliver it, you need to have a strong pitch or a vision statement, a strategy, an approach. You need to get buy-in from stakeholders. That's really how great products work. They have all these components that make them successful. Now, you as a product manager, you got to treat your career the same way. What is your end goal? It's not often a position. It's ultimately, maybe you're trying to make some money. Maybe you're trying to generate some emotions for yourself. Maybe you're trying to meet certain human needs like security and excitement and whatnot. So what ultra successful product managers do is that they apply that same product thinking to their career, where they have a roadmap. What do they want to achieve ultimately on this roadmap? They have a learning roadmap. Within the context of their current role, they know exactly what will drive impact. So they have a strong set of priorities, and they have stakeholder alignment on their priorities. They look at the company's promotion ladder and they figure out if they're meeting or exceeding needs, but they only take it as a guide. It doesn't dictate everything. Sometimes it's just one input, and you can actually generate a lot more insightful approaches if you thought beyond it rather than was sticking to it. They have alignment with their manager, the biggest advocate in doing that. They know what problem they're solving for their stakeholders, for their engineers, everyone that they work with. So the same thinking that they would apply to a product, they're applying to their career. They're strategic on what roles they take on, what projects they take on, and which ones they don't. And just like how, as a product manager, you got to have that strong sense of influence to get everyone aligned. You got to use that same sense of influence to get everyone aligned around you being an amazing product manager and a leader and someone who keeps getting to the next level. Now, here's a common thing that I've heard here. People who are not good at it, they say, Shobit, that is politics, and I don't engage in politics. In my mind, that is nothing but a coping mechanism, where because you're not good at this thing, you're stepping back and saying, oh, that's evil. I am not going to do that. It's not something I'm going to entertain. While the fact is, it's a skill gap. You don't have to be evil when you engage in politics. Politics is nothing, framed in a positive way, politics is nothing but a way of getting alignment in the organization on what is important and them recognizing what you are contributing. So I never, ever tell anyone to take credit for other people's works, to only talk about themselves, to discount their team. That is evil. But there are ways of building this influence and this alignment without being evil. So don't be evil, but don't use not liking politics as an excuse. You've got to have the same level of influence about your career that you want, that you need in order to get alignment over your product, over the roadmap. Move things from that perspective, and your career will, just like your product, be ultra successful, and you will become an ultra successful product manager. Ultra successful product managers have a mindset of taking decisive, bold action. So what does that mean? For some reason, I've seen tons of product managers get stuck in analysis paralysis, whether it's to do with their career or whether it's to do with their product. They can't give an answer to the engineering team on what to build next because they're still analyzing. They can't tell the stakeholders anything. They can't even make decisions on which job to take next. And when that happens, the pace of our career growth is driven by the pace and the quality of our decisions. So you got to learn how to make high quality decisions, but be decisive, which means once you have, just enough information, make the decision and look at what are things you would do to change the decision if necessary. Now, the other part is taking bold action. Bold action means, for some people, it might mean going and taking that role that's exciting and has a lot of potential, but maybe it's a little risky. Maybe it's at a startup that's not 100% well proven, but you are the right person for the job. You're the one who's going to help them succeed. They take that responsibility themselves. Or it might be enrolling in a coaching program or working with a coach where you spend more than you thought. You spend more than you've been thinking on, like, $200-300 on something. But it's an investment for your career. Now, look, I had to take this both routes. When I was struggling as a PM, I made the investments necessary to succeed. When I was doing great as a PM, I made the investments necessary to start my business. And then when it was time to scale the business, I made the investments necessary, even though everyone around me was like, Shobit, you're a PM at Google. What the hell, dude? Just chill. You could chill in the shop for the next 10-20 years. Not saying everyone at Google chills, but I definitely could have a very nice work-life balance. I had a wonderful manager, a great group. I just keep going on that level. I would retire rich, no problems in life. Why would I give it up? Well, it's the bold, decisive action, knowing what I want, what do I need to do to get there. And what I wanted was not that. I wanted something more. That was my dream role at one point in my career, and now I had outgrown it. So the point being, you got to take decisive, bold action, and that's what often differentiates people who are good as product managers, but they don't get to that next level. They get stuck at one particular level, and because they're comfortable, they stay there. I mean, I remember this one saying that my daughter and I repeat. It's by this guy named Brandon Bouchard. It says, the journey to greatness begins when we let our desire for comfort and certainty be overruled by a purpose that requires courage and commitment. So that decisive, bold action comes from that commitment to your end goals and the courage to overcome the short-term pain, the short-term inaction, to cross that bridge of fear and ultimately take that decisive, bold action. So that's what I want you to be doing as a product manager, and that's what ultra successful product managers do. They take decisive, bold action. Ultra successful product managers, they take action from their end goals. Now, this is super important. It's related to taking decisive, bold actions. But here's the thing. There's always two paths. One is how do I protect myself? How do I stay safe? What's a safe path forward? And then there's a second path, which is, what if I were to act as if my end goals have already been achieved? What is the action knowing that that's 100% certainty? And then act into that. Now, to be honest, for most people, this sounds like heresy. It's like you're taking action without knowing that you'll be successful in the end goals, but you're still taking action assuming that. The reason for that is there is this one saying that I absolutely despise. It's called, I'll believe it when I see it. Over and over again, people are looking for proof that what they want will be achieved before they take that action. Ultra successful product managers, those that deliver amazing products, but also those that ultimately go somewhere in their career. What they do is that they visualize their success and treat it as if it's already happened, right? They do that. And when they do that, when they visualize that success, when they treat it as if it's happened, then the actions become easier because your mind stops resisting action. You're not at war with yourself. You're not questioning yourself all the freaking time. And instead, you just go and take the first step and the next step and the next step. And when things don't go your way, you don't just fall. You don't just step back and be like, oh, at the first sign of trouble, I'm out. No. You know your end goals are going to be achieved and you're taking action one step in front of the other. You don't know the exact path. That's also important. You don't know the exact path, but you know that you're headed somewhere, and with action, you'll get there one way or another, but without action, nothing will happen. So that is what ultra successful product managers and leaders, to be honest, do, is that they take that action knowing and acting from a place that their goals have already been achieved. Bonus. What ultra successful product managers do is that they align themselves and surround themselves with the mentors that they need to succeed. They know that they want to get somewhere, and the toughest path is to figure it out themselves, because look, all problems in this world have already been solved. Or that's not true. There's some problems still not solved, but almost 100% of the problems you will face have been solved by someone else. So why take the path of just ultimately just keep going and keep trying on your own and coming up and inventing solutions on your own? Take the easy path. Work with a coach and a mentor who's going to help you get there. Now, I don't know if you and I are a fit to work with. And I won't know until my team talks to you, understands what your challenges are, and really evaluates if we're a fit. We're a fit to work together. And if we are, we'll tell you. And if we're not, we'll absolutely tell you, and we will help you build a path to get to your goals, irrespective of whether you're working with us or not. So the way you get this alignment, and more than anything, you get breakthroughs and clarity of exactly what's preventing your career from succeeding, what's preventing you from becoming an ultra successful product manager, is you set up a call with us. We'll leave the URL in below the video so you can find time with my team. We'll spend about 45 minutes to an hour dissecting your career, understanding exactly what you want, building a step-by-step plan. And if it's a fit for us to work together, we'll show you exactly what that looks like. But irrespective, you get massive clarity and massive value from this call. Now, as I mention often, we do get booked a couple of weeks in advance at various times, so don't wait. Again, this is one of those YouTube videos that you might never see again, and you might never have this shot, and your career could have been completely different, but you didn't make that happen. Book that call with us so that we can take your career to the next level if it's a fit. Otherwise, you get that massive clarity, and we look forward to speaking to you very, very soon.